Let me ask you something you've probably never dared to answer honestly. What if the reason your life feels foggy, your goals seem distant, and your energy scattered isn't because you're lost, but because you've never truly decided to see? What if clarity isn't a gift for the lucky few, but a fire forged by those who refuse to be enslaved by the noise? Because here's the brutal truth. The world will not wait for you to figure out what you want. It will drown you in distractions. It will flood your path with the opinions of others. It will seduce your mind with convenience, confusion, and comfort. And if you're not careful, if you do not declare war on indecision, your vision will be stolen before you ever discover what it could have become. Clarity is not passive. Clarity is not something you find lying on the side of the road waiting to be picked up. Clarity must be taken. Clarity must be summoned. Clarity must be forged in the furnace of decision. Because here's what no one tells you. Clarity is a spiritual battle. It is a war between the life you were handed and the life you're capable of creating. Do you want to know why most people never reach their potential? It's not because they're lazy. It's not because they don't have dreams. It's because they have been trained mentally, emotionally, spiritually to tolerate mental fog, to exist in a life half-lived, to be okay with being kind of sure, sort of ready. Maybe one day they've become fluent in the language of hesitation. But hesitation is a thief. It doesn't steal your life all at once. It robs you drip by drip, day by day, choice by choice. It starts with self-doubt. Then it becomes self-delay. Then it becomes self-sabotage. You have to kill that at the root. You do not need to have it all figured out, but you do need to believe that clarity is possible. Thomas Edison didn't wait for someone to explain how electricity worked. He believed it could be harnessed, and that belief lit the way. Walt Disney didn't see a theme park. He saw a world in his mind and built it from that internal clarity. Clarity always starts as a whispering image in your spirit. But the moment you believe in it, it begins to burn. We think clarity is found in more information, more plans, more opinions, more books, more seminars, more waiting. But clarity isn't about what you consume, it's about what you commit to. Let me say that again. Clarity is born the moment you decide to commit, not to a perfect plan, not to a flawless path, but to the truth that the fog will not lift unless you walk through it. Every great man and woman in history has had to decide before they were ready. Lincoln didn't wait to feel qualified before running toward crisis. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't wait until the odds favored him. They walked forward into the fire of uncertainty with clarity not of outcomes, but of purpose. You don't get clarity by waiting for guarantees. You get clarity by deciding what matters and acting like your life depends on it. Because it does. Let me tell you something sacred. Clarity is not about the outside world becoming simple. It's about your inner world becoming sharp. Vision is not what you see with your eyes, it's what you see with your spirit. You can be surrounded by chaos, noise, setbacks, failures, and still see with divine precision. Because vision is the child of purpose. Elon Musk did not build Tesla or SpaceX with certainty. He built it with vision. He saw what the world could become. He felt it in his bones and chased it before anyone else understood. That's what clarity is, seeing the invisible so powerfully that it starts to become real. When you have clarity of vision, your energy becomes undeniable. Your words carry weight. Your presence shifts rooms. Not because you have the answers, but because you have direction. And in a world lost in confusion, direction is magnetic. But vision without purpose is just fantasy. You must anchor your clarity to something greater than comfort. Purpose is what sharpens the blade. Purpose is what turns fog into fire. If you don't know your why, you'll abandon every path the moment it gets steep. When you know your purpose, distractions lose their grip. Opinions stop mattering. The past no longer defines you. You stop asking, what should I do? And start living from the question, Who am I becoming? That's where clarity comes from. Not from the intellect, but from the identity. You are not here to live confused. You are not here to drift through life hoping something changes. You are here to create, to define, to build with intention. But purpose only reveals itself to those willing to listen, not just with their ears, but with their soul. The quiet moments, the tension, the resistance. That's where your purpose speaks. And once you hear it, you'll never be able to unhear it again. But even the clearest purpose means nothing without the discipline to follow through. Clarity without discipline is a daydream. Discipline is what builds the bridge between vision and reality. You don't need motivation every day. You don't need fireworks or applause. You need the kind of discipline that turns values into action. That takes your morning routine seriously. That says no to the trivial, that trains your focus like a warrior sharpens his blade. Because the enemy of clarity is not failure. The real enemy is distraction, notifications, numbing habits, comparison, overwhelm. These are not harmless. They are poison, dressed as comfort. Every time you break your word to yourself, you blur the mirror of your mind. But every time you follow through on your promise, no matter how small you clean it, discipline clears the mirror. And when the mirror is clean, you can see who you really are. But clarity doesn't end at knowing. It only begins to breathe when you move. You will never think your way into clarity. You act your way into it. You build the bridge by walking it stone by stone, breath by breath, mistake by mistake. You may stumble. You may fall. You may question whether you were ever qualified in the first place. But those who moved, despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, those are the ones who break through. Think of Henry Ford. The man was ridiculed. He was told by the best minds of his time that a mass-produced automobile was impossible. But he didn't wait for clarity to arrive like a beam of sunlight through a window. He built clarity with every machine, every screw, every inch of conveyor belt. Action creates momentum. Momentum clears confusion. Confusion is the enemy of clarity. The longer you wait, the heavier your mind becomes. Not because the path is wrong, but because you become paralyzed by option. There is power in motion, power in making a bold decision and standing behind it. You can't pivot from a standstill. Move, fail, learn, repeat. Clarity doesn't come from perfect choices. It comes from consistent movement toward what calls you. Now listen closely, because this is where most people go blind. They chase clarity by force, but forget that gratitude makes the vision sharper. Gratitude is not some soft emotion. It is a mental weapon. It refines your focus, elevates your energy, and reorients your mind toward power. A man who is grateful is a man who is grounded. He's not scattered by scarcity. He's not weakened by what he lacks. He's anchored in what he already has. You want clarity? Start by appreciating what's already in front of you. Because when you acknowledge your current gifts, your breath, your mind, your experiences, you align with abundance. And only a mind aligned with abundance has the vision to see beyond obstacles. Nelson Mandela sat in a prison cell for 27 years, and yet he emerged with clarity, not bitterness. Purpose, not poison. Vision, not vengeance. Hell, gratitude. He thanked the pain. He used the struggle. He transformed the prison into a classroom, and that gratitude became his clarity. So look around, not for what's missing, but for what's molding you. Because when you begin to give thanks for even the darkness, the fog begins to lift. Clarity is not rigidity. Let that sink in. True clarity is not about locking into a single path. It's about knowing your destination so clearly, you're willing to adjust the route as many times as it takes to get there. Adaptability is the mark of the strong. It's not weakness. It's not compromise. It is spiritual agility. The winds will shift. The terrain will change. Life will not care about your blueprint. But clarity isn't about the map, it's about the mountain you're climbing. The Wright brothers didn't follow a guidebook to build the first flying machine. They adjusted, reimagined, recalibrated because the vision was worth the iteration. Your life will demand the same. Every failure, an invitation to adapt. Every detour, a test of whether your vision is anchored or artificial. When the tide turns, will you fight either? Will you use it? Adaptability doesn't mean giving up the goal. It means you are so clear about why you're going that how you get there becomes a dance, not a dogma. Let go of the plan, but never let go of the purpose. Now we enter the fire because clarity doesn't stay clear forever. Storms will come, doubt will come, and clarity, like any fire, needs protection. This is where resilience lives. Resilience is not just endurance. It's the ability to remember your clarity while being punched by life. Every setback will try to convince you that you were wrong. Every rejection will whisper that your vision was a fantasy. But those who build legacies don't listen to whispers, they listen to their soul. Abraham Lincoln lost election after election. He was called a failure by his own people. And yet, he held the clarity of a nation, divided, held it in his bones, even when the world mocked him, because real clarity survives pain. If your vision dies, every time it's challenged, it was never real clarity. It was just a dream dressed in cheap confidence. True clarity is tested in the fires of delay, defeat, and despair. And each time you rise again, each time you breathe through the chaos, each time you walk forward with bleeding feet, your clarity becomes a weapon, a light that cannot be dimmed. And here lies the final sharpening stone. You must become a student forever. Clarity is not a one-time download. It is a living, breathing force that must be tended through learning. Every mistake, a lesson. Every success, a mirror. Every conversation, a potential shift in perspective. When you stop learning, you stop seeing. The greatest minds, Jobs, Carnegie, Mandela, Musk, were all obsessed with growth. They questioned everything. They studied relentlessly. They adjusted with humility, because the pursuit of clarity is the pursuit of truth. And truth expands as your awareness does. So read, reflect, challenge your assumptions, ask better questions, listen with the intent to grow, not to reply. The more you learn, the more the fog dissolves. Not because you have all the answers, but because your spirit has become tuned to something higher. And when your spirit is sharp, no lie can blind you. No failure can shatter you. No fear can control you. Here's what most people miss. Clarity is not just about what you see, it's about what you align. You can have the right vision, you can have the right goals, you can have all the right intentions, but if your inner world is at war, if your thoughts, emotions, and actions are pulling in different directions, your clarity will crack under pressure. Your outer chaos is often just a reflection of your inner contradiction. That's why you must unify the self. You can't speak about discipline, yet act out of impulse. You can't crave greatness, yet move from fear. You can't beg for clarity, yet live in conflict. The mind must match the message. The heart must support the habits. The soul must echo the story. This is what inner alignment looks like. Your beliefs match your behavior. Your values guide your voice. Your vision fuels your vibration. You become congruent. You become whole. You become clear. And when your internal compass points true north, you will never again feel off course, because it won't matter what the world throws at you. You'll know exactly where you stand. And more importantly, you know who you are. You cannot separate clarity from energy. Clarity rides on frequency. It's not just about thinking clearly, it's about feeling clearly. When your energy is drained, your decisions become diluted. Your thoughts become fogged. Your fire dims. The best ideas in the world mean nothing if they're filtered through fatigue. And I'm not just talking about physical exhaustion. I'm talking about soul fatigue, the heaviness that comes from tolerating what isn't meant for you. Toxic relationships, dead-end routines, dreams that don't belong to you. You want clarity? Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. You must learn the sacred art of energetic boundaries. Cut the noise. Filter your inputs. Guard your peace. Walk away from conversations that dull your vision. Walk toward environments that elevate your state. Your clarity will return the moment you stop giving your power to what drains you. Energy is not a luxury. It is the signal that sharpens the signal. Keep it clean. Keep it potent. Keep it directed. Because when your energy is high, your perception expands. And the vision that once seemed blurry comes into perfect, unmistakable focus. Now comes the moment of truth. Do you truly believe in what you say you want? Because clarity demands conviction, not preference, not wishful thinking, not if the timing is right. Clarity says, I know what I must do and nothing will move me. Conviction is what made Edison burn through thousands of failures. It's what made Rosa Parks sit when everyone else stood. It's what makes warriors wake up at 4 a.m. to train when no one is watching. Clarity is not a cute vision board. It is war paint. It is standing alone in the silence of doubt and still whispering, I will not quit. And here's the secret. When you move with conviction, the world begins to respond. Doors open. People notice. The universe aligns. Not because you forced it, but because clarity magnetizes momentum. But conviction cannot be faked. It cannot be borrowed. It must be earned in solitude, in struggle, in stillness. So ask yourself, have I made a decision so bold, so pure, so aligned with who I am, that it cannot be broken by time, rejection, or fear? Because that's what clarity looks like when it becomes unshakable. This next truth is hard for some, but clarity has no room for blame. The moment you assign responsibility for your future to anyone but yourself, you surrender your clarity to chaos. Responsibility is the gatekeeper. You cannot control the storm, but you are fully responsible for how you stand in the rain. You cannot control what happened to you, but you are fully responsible for how you carry it. You cannot control the timing, but you are fully responsible for what you do while you wait. Responsibility is the great clarifier. It removes the fog of excuses. It cuts through the noise of victimhood. It breaks the spell of dependence. And here's what it gives in return. Power, direction, certainty. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And you start asking, what must I become to rise beyond this? Every time you take responsibility for your life, your choices, your habits, your thoughts, you realign with clarity. Because clarity doesn't come from control. It comes from ownership. You don't need perfect circumstances, you need perfect responsibility. Clarity cannot survive in a life of low standards. Every time you tolerate less than you deserve, you blur the lens through which your future is meant to be seen. You want clarity? Raise your standards. Raise them in how you speak. Raise them in how you eat, how you move, how you show up when no one is clapping. Stop negotiating with mediocrity. Because clarity is a reward. It is earned by those who refuse to settle. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency with excellence. Steve Jobs was obsessed with the smallest details. Not because he was trying to impress, but because he understood. Clarity flows from craftsmanship. When you demand more of yourself, your thoughts become sharper. Your intuition becomes stronger. Your distractions become obvious. And once you see clearly, you can never again pretend you don't. Let's go deeper. Because before you can hold clarity, you must decide who you are without it. Most people think clarity is about knowing what to do. But what if it's more about remembering who you are? See, clarity doesn't live in the future. It lives in the identity you choose to embody right now. Every thought you think, every standard you enforce, every boundary you set or break, it's not just shaping your choices. It's declaring your identity. I'm just figuring it out. I'm trying to find my way. I don't know what I want. These aren't harmless phrases. They're confessions of an identity lost in fog. You cannot claim clarity from a position of confusion. You must become the version of you that already sees the truth. The bold one, the disciplined one, the purposeful one, the one who walks through chaos with a steady gaze because they've already decided, this is who I am. And because I know who I am, I know what to do. This is where identity becomes your lighthouse. When you forget your direction, return to your foundation. And if that foundation is forged in truth, integrity, and self-respect, the way forward will always find you. Now listen carefully. There is a kind of clarity that no journal, no planner, no strategy can give you. It's the clarity of spirit, the kind that whispers when the world is screaming. Spiritual alignment is the deepest form of clarity. It's when your soul says yes before the mind understands why. It's when the decision feels like home, even if it scares you. It's when your intuition burns brighter than the noise. This is not about religion. This is about resonance. When your actions resonate with the highest version of who you were created to be, you become a vessel for something greater. You stop pushing for clarity and start receiving it. That inner knowing, that gut pull, that quiet, this is it. That is clarity on a frequency beyond logic. And if you ignore it, you suffer. You get anxious. You feel lost. You chase the wrong things with the right effort. But when you surrender to spiritual clarity, everything shifts. You begin to see, not with your eyes, but with your essence. You don't need guarantees because your guidance is internal. And in a world of constant stimulation, those who can hear their soul will always see the path. You want the real reason clarity matters? Because you are building a legacy whether you realize it or not. Every word you speak, every choice you make, every time you show up in alignment or out of it, you are writing a story that echoes beyond you. And people can feel it. Your children, your team, your community. They don't just listen to your advice. They absorb your clarity or your confusion. That's why clarity is not a selfish pursuit. It's not about finding your passion. It's about anchoring your presence so deeply in truth that your life becomes a lighthouse for others. Think of Martin Luther King Jr. Think of Maya Angelou. Think of Viktor Frankl. These were not just thinkers. They were carriers of clarity. And because they held their vision through pain, through injustice, through suffering, their legacy became eternal. So what about you? What kind of legacy are you building right now in your habits, in your thoughts, in the way you live your ordinary days? Because legacy doesn't wait for greatness. It's etched into your consistency. And the clearer your life becomes, the longer its shadow stretches into the future. Let's go higher. Clarity is not the end, it's the beginning. Because once you gain clarity, you are responsible for expanding it. This is where the real journey begins. Elevating your consciousness. You stop chasing goals for validation. You start choosing them from alignment. You stop reacting to life. You start responding with intention. You stop asking, what do I get? You start asking, what do I give? This is not hustle culture. This is not about ego. This is not about being 10 steps ahead. This is about being fully present, with precision, with peace, with power. You begin to see how every moment connects, how every setback is a setup, how every delay is developing the clarity you didn't yet know you needed. This is where your life becomes less about noise and more about signal. You begin to tune in, not just to opportunity, but to divine timing. You hear the call before it rings. You feel the shift before it arrives. You are no longer chasing clarity. You are living in it. And the world begins to notice. Because when a person is elevated, when they walk in clarity, when their presence cuts through chaos, they don't have to convince anyone. Their life becomes the message. In a world obsessed with speed, with more tabs open than thoughts finished, with constant alerts screaming for your attention, focus is the most radical act of clarity. Focus is the proof that you have decided, that you have chosen what matters, that you are no longer available for distraction dressed as opportunity. Most people think they lack time, but what they truly lack is focus. Focus isn't just about attention. It's about devotion. It's the moment you stop flirting with every idea, every possibility, every tempting escape, and say, this is my work, this is my path, and I will see it through. That is sacred. Because once you narrow the lens, you amplify the power behind it. A magnifying glass only sets fire when it holds still. The same is true of your mind. Hold your vision. Sharpen your effort. Eliminate the excess. The power of focus is not in doing more, it's in doing less with more intensity. And when you learn to say no to what doesn't serve you, you'll begin to hear the whisper that's been waiting beneath the noise. This is it. This is the moment. Now go. There is a gap between knowing and being. Clarity isn't fully yours until it lives in your body. You can journal it. You can visualize it. You can shout it from the rooftops. But if your life doesn't echo your clarity, then it's still theory. This is where most people stall. They know what they want. They've mapped the path. They've even taken the first few steps, but something's missing. They haven't yet become the person who lives that clarity effortlessly. You must embody the energy of your vision before it arrives. Walk like it's already yours. Speak like the future is inevitable. Move like the ground is already agreed with your mission. This isn't delusion. This is alignment in motion. Muhammad Ali didn't wait to be the greatest. He embodied it long before the world saw it. Every step, every word, every breath was clarity walking. So ask yourself, does my behavior reflect the level of clarity I claim to have? If not, don't just change your words. Change your walk. Because when your clarity enters the body, it becomes unshakable. It's no longer just a concept. It becomes your nature. Most people lose clarity because they're too busy chasing tomorrow or reliving yesterday, but real clarity lives in the now, in the breath, in the stillness, in the present moment, unfiltered by fear or fantasy. You want to see your life clearly? Stop time, not with clocks, but with awareness. Right here, right now, who are you being? What are you tolerating? What are you pretending not to know? Presence is not passive. It is the fiercest form of attention. It takes courage to stand inside this moment without flinching, without numbing, without escaping. But this is the space where clarity sharpens. You don't find clarity tomorrow. You find it when you dare to fully meet today. Feel your breath. Feel your posture. Feel the weight of your choices right now. That's your life speaking. And the more you listen in the now, the more tomorrow begins to shape itself in your favor. Because clarity does not reward those who wait. It rewards those who wake up. Let's address the shadow most ignore. You cannot unlock clarity if your emotions own you. Anger, fear, doubt, shame, these are powerful signals. But they are terrible decision makers. If you make choices from the height of emotion, you'll build a life that constantly needs repair. That's why you must claim emotional sovereignty. This doesn't mean suppression. It means mastery. It means recognizing your emotions without bowing to them. It means holding space for the storm while steering the ship. Clarity requires inner calm, not the absence of emotion, but the strength to hold emotion without becoming it. Like a mountain in the wind, like an ocean that welcomes the wave without being consumed by it. Emotional sovereignty says, I feel everything, but I am moved only by what's true. And when you reach that place, clarity becomes clean. No distortion, no guilt, no overreaction, just presence, just alignment, just truth. And in that state, every decision becomes a reflection of power. We're nearing something sacred now, because none of this matters if you don't trust yourself to follow it. Self-trust is the backbone of clarity. If you constantly second-guess your own wisdom, if you sabotage your instincts, if you require permission before every move, then clarity will come and vanish just as fast. Because clarity is a relationship. And like any relationship, it withers when you betray it. You must prove to yourself again and again, I can be trusted with vision. That means honoring your word. That means staying the course even when it's lonely. That means listening to your gut even when logic mocks you. You will never see clearly if you don't believe what you see can be trusted. So make a new vow. From this moment forward, no more gaslighting your intuition. No more hiding behind doubt. No more waiting for someone else to name what you already know. You are the authority. You are the signal. You are the vessel through which clarity arrives. And once you trust yourself fully, there is no fog you cannot cut through. There comes a moment, a line in the sand, a shift in the atmosphere, a divine echo through your being. When you realize you will never go back. You cannot unsee your truth. You cannot unknow your power. You cannot return to a life of blurred vision, scattered energy, and stolen time. Because when clarity finally burns its way through your soul, you change. You no longer speak from confusion. You speak from conviction. You no longer act from fear. You act from alignment. You no longer wait for signs. You become the signal. And with that transformation comes a fire. A sacred rage against every wasted second. A holy ambition to reclaim every inch of your purpose. No more delay. No more denial. No more pretending you don't know who you are. You are not confused. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are becoming. Now we arrive at the threshold. Not everyone will cross it, because clarity demands something final, something irreversible, a decision, not a preference, not a maybe one day, a full body, full soul declaration that says, I'm done with fog. I'm done with indecision. I'm done with being half alive. This is your moment. You can spend your life gathering information, waiting for permission, polling the room, or bowing to distractions disguised as possibilities. Or you can make the decision that changes everything to live with absolute clarity, clarity of purpose, clarity of identity, clarity of direction. And once that decision is made once, it is truly sealed, the world begins to respond, because decision creates vibration. Vibration draws alignment. Alignment accelerates manifestation. Everything you seek is waiting, just on the other side of that decision. You don't need to force your way to greatness. Once you gain clarity, you stop chasing and start following. The vision begins to pull you. The mission begins to whisper louder. The path begins to rise to meet your feet. You were never meant to push your way through life. You were meant to align, to commit, and to move. This is the beauty of clarity. You become inevitable. Every action becomes precise. Every setback becomes fuel. Every morning becomes holy ground. You stop being busy. You start being directed. The calling doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase you. It waits. It waits for you to become clear enough, still enough, brave enough to finally hear it. And when you do, your life begins. The final truth: clarity is not a destination. It's the ignition. Once lit, it becomes a flame that never does if you feed it. With action, with discipline, with purpose, with presence, every day becomes part of the masterpiece. Every choice becomes part of the echo. Every breath becomes part of the movement. This is how legends are built. Not from the noise, not from the fear, not from the fog, but from the sacred decision to live with eyes open, heart anchored, and soul blazing. You are not here to wander. You are not here to hope. You are not here to survive. You are here to see clearly, to build clearly, to live with such undeniable clarity that the world has no choice but to feel it. So I'll ask you one last time, what if everything you ever wanted, every dream, every breakthrough, every ounce of greatness you were born to live, was waiting behind one decision? Not the decision to be perfect, not the decision to have it all figured out, but the decision to see yourself as you really are, to see your life as it could be, to see the Pathan finally walk it. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready. Now, because clarity is not for the chosen. It's for the decided. And once you decide fully, finally, ferociously, there is nothing and no one that can stop you. Not even you.